I mean, we were looking at it like this is going to kill us. This could literally be the nail in the coffin, and I'm going to be going back to building houses, or I'm going to have to start selling insurance or something, right? Like it was terrifying.
I'm Stephanie Keith.
And I am Tara Manjekovic, and we are unapologetically outspoken.
Hello, and welcome to our Freedom Friday episode. So, Tara and I are starting a new series because Fridays have been fucking depressing lately, and it just seems like the world is coming to an end. So, we have to sort of make things a little positive, look at the bright side, and there are some really cool things happening here in America. So, what we want to do is highlight some of those things and specifically highlight business owners that are patriotic, are serving our country, our communities, and just talk about some of the good out there because it is there. And we need to highlight that instead of these woke corporations that we keep talking about on our Weird Wednesday episodes. So for our first episode doing this, we have Matt Vetter with us. Matt, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Stephanie and Tara. I'm happy to be here and thrilled to be the first round of this new format.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So you own a company called Schafer Construction, right?
I do.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your background and getting started with your company.
So I started building houses in my late high school years. It was a way to earn under the table cash, right? It was good money. Didn't have to pay tax on it. I was young and stupid with no responsibilities. But I caught the construction bug and it never really left. So I've been in the construction industry in some form or fashion since then. And that was a long time ago now. I won't bore you with all the details, but fast forward, 20 plus years. And I bought into Schafer Construction as a partner about 6 years ago. We are a commercial design build general contractor based in Southeast Michigan. We're about an hour from Detroit. We build everything other than single family homes. So a lot of commercial, a lot of office product, industrial, municipal projects, you name it. As long as it's not someone where single family lives, we can do it. So I've been there about 6 years. As of the first of this year of 2023, I took over as sole owner and president of the company. And it's been a wild ride, man. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work, obviously, and it's an industry I love. So happy to chat more about it.
I feel like this is the true American dream of just starting from the ground and working your way up. I feel like we don't see that as much anymore, but it's just refreshing to see, someone that has a vision and can build something incredible like that.
Well, A, I appreciate that. B, it's not all, sunshine and unicorns by any means. The road to get here was a lot of falling down, a lot of getting kicked in the teeth, and then still getting back up the next day to take another punch in the face type thing. So it was a tumultuous road at best, but yeah, I mean, it's awesome. And the fact that, we're growing as a company, we're doing really well. Our best year on record was 2020 during COVID. So, I've got lots to say about that if you want to go down that road, but we've done better and better ever since then. So, it's kind of a screw them all mentality that we took when they tried to shut us down in March of 2020. And ever since then, we've just been charging forward, which has been fun.
That was going to be my question, Matt, is how the COVID shutdowns impacted your business and what you guys did about that.
It sucked. It was fucking terrible, right? As a construction company, cash flow is key in any business, but in our world, we might have contracts that we're really not making any money for 6 months after we're building, right? There's a lot of upfront costs. There's labor, there's materials, there's permitting, all the bullshit you have to pay for. So, it's this real kind of hockey stick curve in a construction project before we, Schafer Construction, actually see any profit out of it. And so to have somebody come in and say, blow the little whistle in Lansing and say, all right, shut it down, close all your projects, send all your people home, that was horrible. So we had a few jobs going on at the time. Truth be told, we shut the doors on only one. It was terrifying. We were dead smack in the middle of it was an office renovation, a TI project. It was not in our normal wheelhouse in that it was about an hour and a half from our main office. So it's a little farther than we normally go. We shut it down because of political reasons in the community there. There was some pushback. So we literally chained the doors on this building and walked away. And that was the first time in my career I've ever had to leave an active job. And I didn't sleep for weeks, because you never know what's going to happen, right? Kids are kids. I was a dumb shit. I still am. I'm just not that young anymore. But, kids see a vacant building and they want to go explore. And then exploring turns into spray paint and, throwing hammers through the walls and God knows what else. So it was like every day we're just sitting here in Brighton where our office is with our fingers crossed, hoping that, the building hadn't burnt down by now. And, Michigan was shut down for 4 months, I think, maybe longer. We made it 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And we kind of said, fuck it. Let's gather up the troops. Let's march back into that project. And we'll just see what happens. And that's what we did. We went and unlocked the chains. We opened the doors. We got a lot of pushback. We had people showing up, yelling and screaming and the whole mask patrol thing. And our direction to our team, let me back up real quick. In our industry, we're called a paper general contractor. We don't provide any trade labor ourselves. We set up deals, we help find land, we provide project management and supervision. So outside of our core team in-house, we have this massive team of specialty contractors and trade partners that help us actually build the stuff we build. So we gathered all of us up in a room and just said, listen, there's going to be pushback, there's going to be some fire, but stay respectful, don't do anything stupid. And let's just keep going forward. And if anything gets real hot, then call me and I'll handle it. I got a few of those calls where, local officials would come by and they would threaten things, shut the doors. You're not supposed to be here. Put the masks on, blah, blah, blah. And my guys would respectfully say, no, we're not doing it. So you have the option. You can call the police and drag us out of here. You can call Matt and see what he has to say. Or you can go about your business. And, knock on wood, we really didn't have any of those big problems after that. So we put our guys back to work. The other projects we had going on, we never shut down because, again, you close off the cash flow vein and we're going to be dead really soon. And we just couldn't do that. We're an old company. We were founded in 1998, but like I mentioned, I took over 6 years ago. So 2017, it was shaky ground. There was a lot of reasons I wanted to get into it. Current revenue and profit was not one of them. We'll put it that way. So shutting down anything for even a couple of weeks is disastrous. So we just didn't do it. And again, the one project, the office project, we had some pushback, but nothing horrible. We ended up getting whatever the hell they call it, essential services or something they called it here. We booked a municipal project, a government project. It was tiny, super tiny, like $100,000 contract. But that got us the letter. And so that day, everybody on our team had copies of that letter. And it was, listen, if anyone says a thing, pull it out, say, we got our marching orders. Sorry, dude, we're rocking and rolling. And so it was scary. It was confusing. It was chaotic, but it kind of also made us grow, and it didn't kill us. Obviously, it made us a lot stronger. And then, like I said, that ended up being our best year on record. And we've just kept stacking the chips since then.
This is incredible. Oh, sorry.
As a leader in your company, did you have any pushback from your employees? Like, were there people that were too scared to go to work?
Yes and no. So my business partner at the time, he got COVID right out of the fucking gate, right? Like before they shut everything down, he came in, he came into the office and he's hacking and wheezing. He's like, hey, I don't feel so good. I think I'm going to go get tested. I said, well, get the hell out of here, dude. And he went and he tested positive. And I'll be honest, we kind of wigged out. I didn't know what to think. This was early on. And if you were watching the news, everyone's dying. There's bodies stacking up. And So I grabbed all this heavy duty disinfectant and started just hosing everything down. And we walked out of the office that day. We all went to our respective homes. We have home offices. We already had them, so it wasn't that big of a stretch. So it wasn't like people were afraid to go to work necessarily, but there was definitely pushback on coming back to the office. And at the same time, we were actively hiring. We were in a growth phase and we needed people. So interviewing got really strange for about a year there. We did a lot of Zoom interviews, which is fine. Frankly, it saves time on the front end. But then we always want to move into an in-person interview. Like, I won't hire someone just based on a Zoom chat. So it was those in-person interviews that we started kind of seeing it. And you would see the people who like wouldn't shake your hand or like, wouldn't take their mask off. And it was weird to say the least. But, our core team was pretty resilient with it. We all understood the stakes, right? If you don't work in our world, you die, and nobody wanted to die. So
I just feel like this story is so remarkable because we've all heard the thousands of, businesses that just went along with it. And I mean, I was saying it at the time. I'm like, I cannot believe how quickly people are just like, okay, like I'll burn my business to the ground. Basically, I'll walk away, throw the key and give it all up. And that happened within like 8 days. Like everyone just went along with it. It was like, okay, I'll just be broke and not, survive. And you don't hear that many stories though, like this, of people that were like, screw you, like I'm going to show up anyways. And you said no and you showed up and they didn't really do anything. I mean, you still, eventually you got that paper from the government, which was really smart, by the way. And it's like, there's always a solution and you found it. But not many people did that. Not many people even looked for a solution. They just kind of went along with what they were being told. And it just blew my mind. And it made me think like, this is how all these historical events have happened. You always wonder like, how'd everyone just lay over and like, let this happen? Well, that's how we saw it. And there were a few people like you that stood up to it. And I mean, I really respect that. That's incredible. And it's so inspiring to see now, so that if anything like that ever happens again, you're like a role model to look up to of, don't take this shit, like stand up for yourself and your business and, your income and say no. So I have a lot of respect for you.
Yeah, Matt,
Thank you.
I was a cop at the time and I was in Washington State, excuse me. And Washington, I think, was probably worse than Michigan because the state was shut down for pretty much 2 years. There was probably a year where, almost every business was shut down. And then it was this back and forth where you'd open for 3 days and then there'd be a rash of COVID cases and they'd shut down. And so many people just went along with the narrative. And I was not going to shut anybody down. Fortunately, the department I worked in was fairly cool about the whole thing, but we were right across the bay from Seattle and there, everything is shut down. And I just said, fuck this. Like, I'm not taking away someone's livelihood. And I just have so much respect for the fact that you have that same attitude and that you were going to continue to support your family and do your job and stand up for your beliefs.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know that I'm any role model. I'm certainly no hero in this. There was a lot of people. So our industry stayed largely quiet too, right? There was a lot of folks doing what I was doing that just weren't saying it. And in our neck of the woods, I mean, one of the things that really convinced me is we have an electrician we work with all the time. He's a great guy. He's a personal friend. And he and I were talking one day in probably mid-March, late March. And he's telling me about this contract he just won. And it was a massive, massive, multiple 7-figure contract to go wire up reefers. They're called refrigerated trailer boxes in Detroit to house all the fucking bodies that they were saying that were going to be piling up on the streets. And he's laughing. He's like, Matt, we go down there and we've wired up 20 of these things. There's not a body bag anywhere. It's like, there's not a single person anywhere near it. It's an empty parking lot. And we're just running wire. And he goes, whatever, the government wants to pay us, we're going to do it. And it got them their essential services letter. But he just kept going down there and wiring these refrigerated units, and none of them ever had anything in them. And so then we start looking around and, don't get me wrong, like I was scared in the beginning. My wife and I, we have 3 kids. I didn't know what the hell was going on. We put the masks on, and I wore a fucking gloves and a backpack with my go bag to go to the grocery store for like the first couple weeks. We'd get home and like, we got these groceries and you're looking at them like, shit, do we need to wash these now? Like how? And it just kind of became apparent, like, wait a minute, this is insanity, right? We've struggled and suffered through so much worse than this in our history as a country, let alone our history as a family. Like, this is nuts. And then once you started kind of picking apart what you were seeing every day and the death ticker on the news and all the crap, it just became really, really obvious to me. And so we kept working. Our social media content went from, mid-level kind of crappy to where it was to zero, because we were also cognizant of the fact that people are watching, right? And there is a huge contingent. There still is today, 3.5 years later, there's a contingent of people that want to burn us at a stake for what we did. So we were kind of smart about it. We kept it cool, but there was a lot of people that we work with that did the same thing. And they needed somebody to kind of lead the charge. And so we were able to do that just based on our role in the industry.
Well, I was going to ask you about, even now, even today, being that you stood up and said no, like, I'm sure with construction, you're dealing with the government and permitting and all kinds of red tape. So do you get a lot of pushback now from from getting permits or anything like that?
Now, no, but for certainly that first year, yeah. I mean, we have to go into where we typically work. The county runs all of the building permits. So you have to walk into the county office. And at one point in time, they've got a little airlock vestibule. It's, 6 feet deep of double doors, and you couldn't get through it. So you'd walk in and you'd fill out your name and number on a piece of paper. You'd put your plans and documents and your money in a little box. And you just have to leave and hope that somebody's checking the mail and doing their job. And nothing ever goes off easily in permitting and construction, period. So there's always something comes up in the drawings, right? There's a problem, there's an issue, there's at least questions. And that was the worst part. Like, you get a list via email of questions, but these assholes won't even answer the phone. So you can't call and talk to a human. So now, a permitting process that historically would take us 2-3 weeks is taking 2-3 months, because everybody's dumping all their questions and answers in emails. And these poor folks that work there who don't have a real choice in the matter other than quitting, they're just up to their necks in email backlog. So we didn't get any like specific pushback against Schafer Construction, but it was a hard year to get through for sure.
Yeah, a lot of obstacles. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This was also one of your best years, right? When you started climbing, like, talk a little bit about that.
Didn't start that way. What we do is, it's called true design build. And I won't bore you with all the details, but it's a very different model of construction than what most of the industry does. So most people, when they want to build something commercially, especially, they'll go hire an architect, they'll give them a lot of money, and the architect draws the building. The architect goes and bids it out in the street, finds the lowest bidder, and the architect kind of holds all the puppet strings. We flip the script on that by design. So we are the tip of the spear. So our clients hire us first. We hire the design consultants. We hire everyone on down the line. And it allows us to do a lot of great things like control budgets and schedule and all the other shit that needs to be done. So to your point, Tara, we were in the middle of our sales cycles are really long, right? We might work on a project for a year to 2 years before we actually sign a contract and have boots on the ground, which means we're not making any money whatsoever. And so as long as everything's stacked and staged, that, it's just cash flow management. But as an older company that was turning a new leaf and trying to grow, it was a very, very difficult time in our world, right? Because we didn't have all those jobs stacked up. We were about a year and a quarter deep on a very large project for a municipality, no less, right when this all sprung off. And so, I mean, we were looking at it like, this is going to kill us. This could literally be the nail in the coffin. And I'm going to be going back to building houses or I'm gonna have to start selling insurance or something, right? Like it was terrifying. And that was one of the reasons we just said, all right, let's go all in. And if we get in a lot of trouble, then whatever, at least we went down swinging. So the year started off kind of bleak, kind of dismal. And it was right about that time. It's goofy, but I will credit 75 Hard for basically saving my life. And I did 75 Hard the first time, started right through that time period, and my whole mindset shifted. And it shifted from like nervous business guy trying to, brick by brick build this thing to, fuck it. Let's go all in. And if we fail, we fail, but at least no one can say we didn't try. And all of a sudden, the universe started aligning, whatever you want to call it, God, everything just started falling into place. And so we finished 2020 with our best year on record by 200%. And I just kept that mentality. And then we started, dealing with culture inside the business and hiring the right people. And that it's the people that we brought in now that have allowed us to keep kind of stacking those wins.
It's amazing how much mindset can shift everything. It's like I mean, potentially if you had like worked on your mindset, you could have gotten to a point where you're like, fuck it, I'm just done. I can't deal with this anymore. So it really is like that comes before everything else. And I feel like when you get that right, like the universe does line everything up for you, and things that normally wouldn't fall into place or opportunities that wouldn't pop up, now you can see them because you've got your mindset in the right place. You have a goal that you're working towards. And I feel like that's so, a lot of people look at that as like extra, or some people even think it's total bullshit. But I think that's like the core component of being successful. And you've got the receipt to prove it. You've got the growth in your business during a year that should have been your most difficult year, could have crumbled your business. So, I mean, it's like proof right there of how powerful that is.
Yeah. I mean, the whole personal development journey that I really started then, I credit with everything that we have now. And it's a mindset. It's a lifestyle, it's a way of running a business. It's your core values. It's everything. And it's foo-foo shit on the surface, right? People, like you said, they think it's bullshit, or they think it's fake, or it's fluffy, especially for a construction guy, right? I asked you guys before we came on, like, can I swear? Because construction guys, I'm not a big dude, but I've got a rough and tumble mindset, and we're a big group of pirates by nature. And to hear construction companies start talking about core values and culture and the, personal development and reading and all these things, like it's 100% counterintuitive to what everyone has been bred to see the blue collar trades as. And we got a lot of pushback. We still kind of get a little bit, but we're kind of over the hump now, where people are actually now starting to come and say, hey, wait, this crazy shit you always talk about, it actually seems to make sense. It's starting to work for me. Can we talk more? And like I said, I would credit literally everything I have because of the mindset shift and the personal development shift. And I'm, truth be told, if my wife wasn't the one backing me and supporting me doing all that, none of that would have happened either. But collectively, we got on the same kind of personal development spectrum at the same time together, and it lights a fire in you that I never knew about, right? I've done this a long time. I've done a lot of dumb shit in my day, done a lot of smart stuff, but starting that personal development journey, it literally catapulted me to places I had no concept that I would ever get to.
So how did you get your team on board? Like, did you have everyone go through 75 Hard, or did you just kind of share some of the concepts? Like, how'd you get them to buy into it?
I didn't. I tried my ass off the first time through. I didn't get a single person to do it with me. My business partner went on one of my midday cardio walks with me, and it ended up raining the whole time. And we got back, and he's like, "This is fucking stupid, man. I'm never doing it again." Everybody else said I was an asshole, and I probably was, right? If you've ever done it, or if you haven't, like, the long and short of it is with me anyways, I always go through this kind of warm-up phase, the first 10 days or so, where everything sucks. I'm pissed off at the world because of what you're doing for the program. But then all of a sudden, focus starts kind of clamping in, and it goes from this 180-degree spectrum where you're worried about everything to all of a sudden now you're laser focused and like, let's go. Like, it's time to rock and roll. And so I would say my team, I'll be honest, 90% of that team that was there on that day are no longer with us. And there's lots of reasons. There's lots of reasons, but that's one of them. And not that they didn't do 75 hard. That's not a hiring requirement yet. But it's the mindset, right? It's the mindset of constant development, constant growth that comes from the program that people weren't really wanting to get on board with. So I'm actually now about a third of the way through 75 hard again. My new team, my director of operations is doing it with me side by side, which is awesome. The rest of the team, we're pirates. We drink a lot. So the not drinking part of it scares a lot of people from ever starting. So no one else is actually doing it with us right now, but I like to think they're watching and they're seeing, listen, I'm no stranger to alcohol and having fun. And I like to think that by them seeing me, go sober for this period of time and force these workouts, and I leave every day, I take my calls while I'm walking around with a weighted backpack on, and people think I'm crazy, but I do it every single day. And if you keep stacking up those wins, people are paying attention, and whether or not they want to admit it, they at least are seeing that you're doing something more than the average person. And so hopefully next time I start this process, there'll be more people joining on board with us.
Yeah, Matt, I did it for the first time last summer, and I did it by myself. And it sucks to do it by yourself, but I stayed committed and I did it, and people thought I was crazy. And then Stephanie and I started it together in January. I had a couple coworkers start it with me. I kind of wanted to see the difference between like doing it in summer and doing it in winter, because the Texas Panhandle in winter is fucking crazy. And one day it's snowing and -2, and the next day it's 30 degrees. The next day it's 70, and then it's back down. And I'm on day 63 right now. I had some coworkers that started it with me. They quit within 2 weeks. Not because
I failed.
But you got sick.
You know what? Yeah, I failed, but I will say, like, I still feel like I got so much out of it because, like you, Matt, like I drink. I love drinking. It's like, it was like a part of my lifestyle. And my whole family, like, that's just how we do things. And I was like, this is going to be so hard. There's no way. I don't know how I'm going to overcome this. And I literally do not miss it. Like, it has changed everything because I realized how much better I feel. And I don't have like that brain fog, and I feel more focused. And I didn't realize how much it was affecting everything, my mental health, my body, like everything. So even though like I failed, that alone was like totally worth it for me. And I'm like, okay, I can do this again and like try with all the other stuff. But I feel like even if you get one of the components, it's still life-changing.
100%. And, I don't think I'll go dry forever. Right. I'm quite certain I'll go back to drinking, at least, in moderation again. But it's amazing how great you feel. Like, I don't know when this podcast will air, but we're recording at 8:30 in the morning, my time, on a Saturday. Fuck that. That would never happen, a year ago, or when I'm not on it, when I'm drinking. Like, no way. No, I would be a groggy ass mess at this time in the morning. And like, it's silly things like that I've noticed. Like, wow, I can still get up at 5 o'clock on a Saturday and I feel awesome. I'm not foggy. On Monday morning when I roll in the office, I don't have that haze of the whole weekend, like fighting to stop me from doing what I need to be doing. So, whether you finish it or not, you nailed it. You take pieces. It's like reading a book, right? As long as you get one nugget out of that book, one piece of gold that you can then take and implement and do something better because of it, it's all worth it. It's worth the time spent, whether you finish the book or the program or not.
Yeah. And I think what you said too about people doing it and being motivated by watching you is such an important reminder for like anyone listening that wants to implement this, whether it's like in their business or, getting their spouse on board or whatever. You can talk till you're blue in the face, but nothing's gonna motivate people and get people on board like actually seeing the change in you and watching it and thinking like, I want that. Like, I want to feel good. I want to be focused. And So I think that's such an important reminder, because we always think we got to like tell people and convince people, but the best way to convince someone is by letting them watch you do it yourself and seeing the results.
And
Absolutely.
look what it's done for your business. Like, for anyone out there that is like a struggling entrepreneur or business owner, your mindset is one of the biggest fucking things that's going to impact the direction that your business takes. And Matt, you're just like a literal example of that.
You have to be tough. You have to be gritty to survive as an entrepreneur in any industry, because there's forces at play that want you to fail, right? That's probably a longer topic than we can get into, but there's a lot out there that does not want to see us as Americans, or as humans in general, succeed in a way that steps outside the bounds of the normal 9 to 5 time clock punching bullshit. And you have to be willing to fight every single day, because it doesn't get easier. My kids always ask me, I have 3 boys, and they'll ask me like, why do you do it, Dad? Like, you come home once in a while or more than often, and you're pissed off, or you have, all these stories to tell about this, and this that happened during the day that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. But why do you keep going back? And it's like, guys, listen, days are stressful, and I'll raise my hand every time I need to get my shit under control better, not bring it all home as often as I do. But what I'm also showing them is that if you get kicked in the face, you get back up and you do it again. You fail every single day at something, you get back up and you do it again. And if you keep doing that for a long enough period of time, you reach a point where the punches and the kicks don't hurt as bad anymore. And the failures, they are now not negative things. They're actually positive things. They're quick lessons we can inject into our daily lives. Like, yep, fuck that one up. Now I know how not to do that again. And I know with my boys, like, they're starting to see it, especially the older 2. I have a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And the older 2 certainly are kind of grasping it, like, wow, like my 15-year-old, he'll be 16 next month. He's a sophomore in high school, and they're starting to have the talks, like, what are you going to do with yourself? You're going to go to college? You're going to go in the trade, blah, 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 blah. He'll come to me and be like, I want to own a business. And to me, that's a win. Now I tell him, like, you're crazy. Like, you're nuts, man. Like, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. It sucks most days, but there is a giant golden light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to know that once you get to the end of that tunnel and you see the light, like, you're just walking right back into another tunnel. And it's going to be that way from now until forever. And I'm not going to push him much either way. He can do what he wants. And I want him to experience life. I took a very distorted and unusual path to get to where I am. But it's a duty of ours as Americans, as humans even, to show the youth that there are other ways outside of the monotonous, controlling environment that we are pushed into every single day. And I'm not a poster child for any of this shit, but like, it gets me emotional, right? Like, it's more people need to see this, and not everybody should be an entrepreneur. Not everybody needs to be. We can't have that many entrepreneurs. We would all crumble. But even the people, the entrepreneurs, the people who just want a job, who just want to be comfortable, we have to make those people realize that there's a way to go about living your best, and there's a way to not. And what every media outlet and everything you pump into your head, if you're not careful, is trying to do, is to make you do the way that sucks, right? To make you enslaved to the system, to make you enslaved to the government. There's a whole lot that goes into this, but I think by being entrepreneurial, by being out there in the open, by having podcasts, right, by speaking your damn mind and letting people see, like, wow, he's not going to get burned on a stake. Tara and Stephanie aren't out on the shooting line, right? They're actually speaking their mind, and people are listening to this. That's how we start changing the world, and not just changing, construction on my little niche or your niches where you're at. It's showing people that there's better and more.
Absolutely. I say all the time that our society is set up to produce a bunch of mediocre workers, not leaders. And you, and like the way you're talking to your boys and showing them again, by leading with example, not telling them, like they're seeing you as that role model. That's how we develop leaders. That's how we develop people that don't just go along with the narrative and pave their own way. And you're absolutely right. We need more of that. And yeah, speaking up is the first part. Like that's the whole reason, you know, I wanted to do this podcast. I'm like, where is this silent majority we're always hearing about? Like, what good are they if they're silent? You know, people need to start speaking up. And I think sharing this and why I love this for Friday is like we're speaking up, but in a very positive and motivational way and showing, all right, there is another way. Like you don't have to be a slave to the system. You can do something different. You can stand up and you can be a leader. And that's exactly what you've done in this business. And I'm very impressed. I think it's absolutely amazing. So you said you guys kind of like took your social media down for a while. Do you have that back up? Can people go follow you? Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so we have ramped everything back up. My most engagement and involvement is my personal LinkedIn at Matt Vetter. Everything gets reproduced. So through Schafer Construction on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We have a YouTube channel that is in its infancy. One of my goals for this year is to use this fancy GoPro I just got delivered the other day and start actually shooting more and more content. But I'm, Matt Vetter on anything is the easy way to get us.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for coming on and being our first guest for this series. Like this is going to be a hard one for people to top because you had like a lot of good motivation in there. Like I said, I think you're a role model. I think it's cool that you're talking about it too, because we don't hear these stories very often. And I think it's going to motivate a lot of people listening.
Well, I certainly appreciate coming on and being the first of the series. So thank you both for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And I'm so happy to say we ended Friday on a positive note and we'll come back with more motivation on Monday. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you get our latest episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you could, please rate and review the show. We are going to be reading every single review, and I would love it if you hopped over to Instagram at Unapologetically Outspoken and say hi. We want to see who's out there and start a conversation, plus get all of the topics that you want us to talk about next. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.